Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a handle for your basket hat. In fact, I'm going to show you two different ways of making it and I'll explain why in a moment. The first way is using straws. Now, I know that a lot of people don't have straws anymore, they don't buy them anymore, etc., which is a good thing, but I have these packet of straws which are about 10 years old, which have been lurking in my cupboard, and I don't want to just throw them in the bin. I want to use them for something, so I'm just hanging on to them while I use them. Now, what I'm going to do with these straws is thread them into each other, and the way to do that is very simple. I'll just show you close up. You just snip, see against that background, into the end of one straw, and then if you roll it, the two cut sides will overlap like that, making it smaller, thus making it simple to simply thread it into the next one. And the way to secure that is just put a blob of glue in there. I'll just do that now. And this is when glue with a nozzle is really handy, so you just pop a little bit in there and then that will slot in there really easily. Right, carry on. I'm just going to do a few of those and then come back to you. There we are. I've got my straws joined together. Clearly that is not the shape that we want, or maybe that is the shape that you want. There we are. You might like that, but I want mine to be into a nice curve. And the way I'm going to do that is I am going to find myself, and I've got a sieve here, something which is a curved shape, and I am going to get my pegs, and I'm going to peg my straw into that shape. And if it fights you a bit, just be firm with it, like that. Actually, wooden pegs are much better at this than these rather feeble little plasticky ones. They hold better. Right, like that. Go all the way around. Alternatively, if you don't have anything, if you don't have one of these sieves, then you can make your own shape up. And I've got, I cut, this is a notepad, I've just cut 2 strips of the cardboard off the back, and I'm going to just staple these together like this to make myself a nice circle shape. So instead of using, if you don't have one of these or you don't want to use that, your mum's using it or your dad's using it, then just peg to this bit of cardboard like this. Peg round. Quickly do this. Try and make it, peg it sufficiently closely so that you've got a nice smooth curve. Right, that will do. Can you see? So although it's crossing over at the bottom, it's got a nice curve at the top. Then what you do is you find yourself a shallow bowl or a saucepan or something, pop that in, and you get someone old enough to be trusted with boiling water, and you get them to pour boiling water over the curve that you've just made. Leave it for a few minutes, then tip the boiling water away, and then put cold water on it, and that hot and cold should make the plastic then hold its shape. I'm going to quickly put some boiling water in this, and then I'll bring it back and you can see what it looks like when I take it out after I've put some cold water on it. And here we are. So I have put this in a bath of boiling water, which get a grown-up to do it for you. Left it for a few minutes, which the heat will hopefully change the shape of the straws to make it mould around the curve that we've made. And then I've put cold water on it, and I believe what happens then is that it just sets the plastic. Let's unpeg it and see what it looks like. Hope it works. It's looking good. And there we have it, look, lovely curve. And with these bits you can just, whoops, I haven't put glue on that bit. You can just straighten these out. And then, there we are, look. You see against the wall, lovely curve. Now, obviously that's a bit fragile as it is, so to reinforce that, what we're going to do is wrap it with, let's get that out of the way, newspaper. And the newspaper I'm going to use, as ever, is I've just cut the bottom edge, or I am cutting the bottom edge of this newspaper here, so that we've got some nice strips. And then I am going to dip these in flour and water paste on one side, and I suggest you, the way you do it is, if that's your bowl, just imagine, full of water, you literally just let it trail across the surface and then wipe it off on the side of the rim on the other side. So it's got flour and water paste on it, but it's not dripping. And then take one end, a little closer so you can see, take one end, put it at an angle, and then literally just go round and round and round. It's easier, I find, to spin the straw rather than trying to move the paper around. So, and the straw will be a bit fiddly because it's now got that lovely curve in it, but you need to put the curve in first so that the paper then holds the curve in place. Because if you put the paper on first and then you put it in boiling water, the paper's going to all float off. There we are. So you just carry on going round and round and round like that. I just need to push this bit back in. And then when you get to the end, and it's all stuck in place, then you're going to stain it in the same way that you stained the basket. And the best way to do that, we've discovered, after trying different things, is to get a tea bag, put boiling water on it, just a small amount so that it's really, really strong, not that you would want to drink it that strong, and then let it cool, and then literally just take the tea bag and dab it round, and then you get a nice sort of rich pinky brown look, which is the colour of our basket. You can attach this to the basket by snipping it here, and then you open it up like that so that you've got a slightly wider platform, a flat piece, so that you can then staple it to the inside of the hat. Alternatively, you can get another straw. I'm going to get a red straw this time to make it a bit easier to see, and you cut about that much, cut that in half. Cut it in half. Right, and then cut both of them lengthwise all the way. Having cut it all the way along, you put one inside the other. Then you take one end and open it, and the other end you roll and poke inside the end of that straw, having put some glue in there first. And then you've got a double platform, which you've flattened out, which is easier and stronger for you to staple to the inside of the basket. The alternative way to make a handle without using straws is to take a piece of newspaper, cut it in half lengthways, put one side over the other there. Just going to put a little bit of sticky tape on to hold that in place. And then, this is a different sort of handle, fold it, and fold it slightly on the slant, like that, over and over and over. This will be a flat handle, not a round handle. And you can see where I'm going here. Keep it the same width all the way along. And flatten it each time you fold. There we are. Secure it with a piece of sellotape. This is a bit rough and ready. I'm sure yours will be a bit neater than mine. Sellotape is fighting back. And then you can just take your hand with it. You just bend it round to a nice curve. That's it. And there you are. And you can staple that to the inside of the hat using this flat edge here and this flat edge here. I'm just going to quickly show you how I'm going to put this handle on the basket. That is where I want it to go. That's my front, opening like that. You see I haven't done it yet. So if you look at the red bits, this is where we've got the double layer of plastic. So what I'm going to do is, if we just look at it from the underneath, I'll just flatten out that layer of plastic and I'm just going to pop it there and staple it. Down at the bottom, staple it. You see here, there. It's a bit fiddly for me to do it and show it to you, so let's see if my stupid stapler works. I'm going to put 2 staples in to make it more secure. Right, that's one. And now I'm going to do the other one. So I think it's probably easier if I flatten it first. It's a double layer because we've got 2 straws here. This will make it stronger because this is a weak point for the handle. It's going to go there, which I think is roughly the opposite side. I'm going to flatten it out, and again I'm going to just push it down a little bit there. Flatten. That's it there. Right, and that is my handle. Okay, so that has come out, ta-da. So I have to put a bit more glue on that, but that will go in there. And then the other thing I'm going to do to make it more robust is I am going to put some tape across here to cover the staples, but also to hold this in place. I'm also going to just put a little bit more paper covered with flour paste round and round here, just to reinforce the whole thing, so I just don't want it falling apart. Not that we're actually going to be picking it up by this, because it's not really a handle, it's just for show. So I'm going to do all those things and then I will come back and show you how we get on. But in the meantime, one more thing I wanted to show you. I haven't got any green tissue, of course, but I have got, actually I've got some leftover purple tissue. I've got some purple tissue, which is quite jolly, and I'm going to do the same sort of thing as I did for the crown. I'm going to put a layer of tissue on the inside, and it's going to be, I'll just put this on the edge of the table so the handle's hanging down. It's going to be attached on the inside so that when the flowers are put in here, they're sitting on the tissue. So I'm just going to quickly do that now. I'm going to I turn this over. I've got the handle hanging over the edge of the table so that it doesn't break or get squashed. And I'm going to stand here to support that bit. And I'm going to literally all that with tissue and cut these corners off. Don't need those. And then I'm going to just sellotape on the inside here. I'm not going to look at it on the inside, we're going to be looking at it from the outside. I'm going to take this all the way round, so that what you'll actually see is that my handle's come adrift again, so I need a bit more glue on there. I'll just go like that. So that will be like that, and then inside I'll put all the flowers. So I'm going to finish that off, and then I will come back and show you how to make some flowers. And what we're going to do now is make some little flowers to go in here, just peeping out. You needn't do flowers, of course. You could do Easter eggs. They might be a bit heavy, or you could do sweets or anything like that really, or you could do little pom-pom animals just popping out if you liked. But I'm going to do flowers, so let's get going and I'll show you how I do them. Now I know Americans like to have just flowers and they have them all pushed in together and pretty much the same flower, but I'm doing a whole variety of flowers, and you can either mix them all up or you can pick which one you like best and just do that. So the first flower I'm going to make is this one, which is a little bit like, I guess, an aster. And I'll show you how I do it. So I have a tiny amount of this paper, which is sort of a peachy colour, and all I've done is fold it in half, and then along the cut edge I have snipped. I'll show you this. I have snipped like this all the way along, the same sort of amount, and now what I'm going to do is open that up and I'm going to just cut along the fold. This should make 2 flowers. So here is my one little piece. It's got all cuts along here which are parallel, and this is not cut at all along this side. So what I'm going to do is, just using my hands, sort of firmly but gently, if that makes sense, just run my nail the length of these little pieces, and you should find, as I hope is apparent now, they start to curl a little bit. You can encourage them a little bit with your hand. If you pull too hard, they will of course come off. So you have to find the happy medium of not too hard, not too soft, and just as you pull along, just curl up towards you like that, and then you can sort of encourage it with your hand like that. And then what you do, I'm using these straws, or you can use a cocktail stick, or I don't know, a hairpin or anything really, or cut a little straight bit of card. So what you then do is, I'm just going to put a little bit of, actually I can use some sellotape for this. With the curls going down, you just run a little bit of sellotape, and then you start to just turn it like this. It goes round and round and round. There we are, keep going. Try and keep it as tight as you can. That's it, and then a little bit of sellotape on the end. And then just have a look at it and just, so that's quite a wide piece. I'm just going to cut that to make it a bit narrower. And then just sort of arrange it however it pleases you. So if you want to push some bits one way or another, that's fine. And there we are. There's my little peachy aster. Like that. So for my second flower, I'm going to make, I think, a daffodil, or a sort of daffodil, or a baby narcissus, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, that shaped flower. I've got some yellow card here, which is actually card which I have for making blank cards. So you fold it like that and you make your own card. So I'm just using that as ordinary card. It's got a bit of black spray paint on here, where I was trying to get trying to spray my volcano and it wasn't working terribly well. Again, anyway, when you get to doing your daffodils, cut a shape that you like. Draw it first until you're happy with it, and then cut one out and use that as your template for all your others, so you don't keep reinventing the wheel the whole time. So I'm just going to use that to draw around it. Oops, don't wiggle. That's it. So I can use this one and then I can cut that one out and I'll use that to make a template for another one. So that's it, that's my basic flower shape. I'm going to just pull the petals up a little bit like that. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I've got another little bit of this peachy paper. So I'm going to just fold this like that, backwards and forwards. Sort of pleating it really. I don't know if this is clear, like that. So it's sort of zigzagging round. I'm going to do that all the way round, and then I am going to just use your nail to push it. That's it. You should have a piece like that at the end. And then what you do is you open it up, take the two end pieces, you butt them like that, and you don't need a very big bit of sellotape for this. So of course I've got a huge piece. I've just cut a tiny piece off. That's all I need. So I'm just going to sellotape it on one edge, bring the other one round, sellotape it on that edge, and I'm just going to cut the surplus off. Oops, jumping around, it's full of the joys of spring. And then I'm going to pleat it back up again. Like that. Trying to make it in a sort of a zigzaggy star shape. I'm going to get my glue, put a blob round like that. Don't use flour and water paste for this. It doesn't dry to be transparent, and also it's just a bit too thick. And then just pop that on there. Oops, doesn't want to stick. I'm going to just hold this down while it glues. But I'll leave that to dry. There we are. Now, obviously that's just a flower head, it needs to have a stem. So the way to do the stem is to take a straw and you put 3 cuts in it, and then what you're going to do is open them up. Like that. Stick a bit of glue on each little bit you've cut and then attach it to the back of your flower head. Like that. My next flower is going to be a rose, an ever popular rose. And to do this, what I've done here is I've just got a long piece of tissue paper. I've zigzag folded it like that, so it finishes up as a fairly neat square. And just tap it down so that it's straight on one edge. Hold it by the edge. These are all the folds here and here. What you do is you cut here. You do a nice petal shape curve. Come in there. You don't cut down to that edge, you cut in like this and you join it. Like that. So you've got folds here and you've got folds here, and your petal shape, very roughly, is in the middle. So that when you undo it all, you end up with lots and lots of petals. In fact, I've got two which are joined here, so I'm just going to snip those apart. Okay. Right. Then what you do is you take your cocktail stick. Actually, cocktail stick would probably be better, but I don't have one to hand, so I'm going to use one of these beastly old straws again, and you can either sellotape or glue. I'm going to glue this bit right in the middle. Put some glue on here. And you roll it round. Now, as you know, the start point is going to be the middle, and the middle is tight. So roll the petals in tight together, like that. You see? And then as you go round and round, you can start to sort of just fold them out a little bit like that. Not a crease, just one. And because we've got this little bit in the middle, you can sort of position where you want the petal to go. You don't want them lined up one behind the other. You want them so that the edges overlap each other. You can always tidy it up a little bit later. Just go round and round and round. Don't make yourself dizzy. So what you don't want is that where they're one behind each other. You see? You want it so they're just slightly offset. You go round and round and round. Right, I'm going to keep going and I'll show you mine when I've finished it. And when you get to the end, it's all a bit loose and wobbly, so just put a good old dollop of glue on there. Take a small strip of your newspaper. You could use one of those. If you've got any green, that would be perfect, but if not, don't worry. Just wind that round and around so you've got all the glue covered. And you can hold it without getting your hand stuck. And tease the petals down a little bit like that. Separate them from each other. And hopefully you'll end up with a very pretty rose. Got quite a lot of glue on my fingers, that's it, right, they're coming off. That's all right. So there we are, that's the rose. I'm going to cut. This is a sort of vague attempt at doing an aquilegia. So I'll show you how I did this. Basically, I just used exactly the same shape as I had for the daffodil. I'm going to show you how to do the aquilegia, but what you could do is get some red lentils, put put a bit of glue in the middle and just, I'll show you on this one actually, just maybe I'll just have those in the middle like that. There we are. Pretty, isn't it? And again, you can put the stem on in exactly the same way as I showed you before with the daffodil. Now, with the Aquilegia, you want, so all I've done is I just cut 3 pointy bits like that and cut it into sort of teardrop shape. You can see, and then I folded them. Just curl them like that. A little bit. There we are, like that. So you start with a teardrop shape, you cut 2 slits into it, and then you end up with, and if you curl it, you end up with 3 little tong bits like that. And then all you do literally is a bit of glue in the centre. You don't need to make your flowers resemble any flowers in real life. You can just do anything that comes into your head, really. You would be surprised all the different things that nature comes up with. So why shouldn't you do something different as well? There we are. That's that one. And actually what you could do, if you fancy making a complicated flower, you could put another bit of glue on. Since we're being a bit ridiculous. This can be a little fantasy flower, and you can put you can put some like pollen lentils in there as well. The final flower I'm going to show you is probably, I guess, let's call it a poppy, shall we? So I'm going to, and poppies have very delicate paper-like petals, so hence the tissue paper. So I'm going to just draw around. I made a cardboard template, so I was happy with the shape of it. So I can use that again and again if I want to. There we are. So I'm going to cut round this and I'll show you when I'm finished. With my poppy, I've decided I'm going to make it a double poppy. So one of them I've sort of just pleated the edges a little bit to give it a bit of texture and make it more three-dimensional. And the other one I'm going to put behind it. I'm going to, if I have the petals lined up, it doesn't look like much, so I'm just going to twist it slightly so that the petals are offset against each other. You can easily see this. There we are, like that. I'm going to put a tiny blob of glue just in the middle there. Put that on top. And then again, I think I like the purple, so I'm going to make it stand out more by putting some more lentils on top. I think purple looks really lovely against orange, so we'll just leave it like that. It looks, I'll shake the surplus lentils off. There we are, to give you an idea. And then when that's dry, I'll put a stalk on the back of it and give that a bit more three-dimensional shape, and then it can go in the little bowl with all the others. Right, Right, now comes the enjoyable but slightly tricky part of putting the flowers together in the bonnet basket, let's call it that. I've got lots of flowers here. I've also got some leaves which I've cut from my faithful tissue box, and I've just glued them to a straw which I've split like that. And the reason I put it on a straw is because I need the extra length, and I'll show you why. Right, this I have cut. This is going to be the underside of the lid. I've cut that, there you are, to the same shape as the lid, and I've cut the back off it, so it's a strip. And that's going to sit here, not right on the edge, but about 1 centimetre back from the edge. And all of the flowers are going to be attached to this. It's quite difficult to work out where you want the flowers and glue them in straight away. So what I suggest you do, bearing in mind this is the top, so the flowers are going to be sitting underneath it, is just peg your flowers roughly where you'd like them to go. I think all my roses, so you can peg 2 or 3 together like this. So just sort of play around with it. Have a look at your basket and see how it's going to sit like that. And then, so where you've got your leaves, the leaves will go, well, the way I want my leaves to go is sort of underneath the flowers, just poking out like that. So if I take out my cardboard, I probably want my leaves to go something like that, so I can glue them to my cardboard. Anyway, I'm going to have a play around with these and my arrangement going round, and I will show you when I finished. And putting these flowers on is a bit tricky, but actually it's just really good fun. You just need to relax and enjoy doing it. One top tip I've discovered is if you actually cluster the flowers beforehand, like this, and then just staple them all together as a bunch, or sellotape them all together as a bunch if you want to. It's a bit fiddly actually, I have to accept. Can't get the stapler close enough, hang on. Stay there. Right, so if you pin them all together like that with a staple or with sellotape, it's then easier to pop them in, work out where they should go, and then just staple them to the card. And the more you put in, actually, I promise you, the easier it becomes. So I'm going to pop those, I think, there next to the purple one, turn it upside down, and I'm going to just quickly staple them in there. So they're not all lined up, and I'm making sure that I'm also cutting quite a lot of these leaves so that I can fill any gaps, as you would with real flowers. I can fill any gaps with leaves, but then these you can sort of bend them up, bend them down, and then always keep going back to your basket to test it. And it's going to look something like, oops, like that, with the flowers just poking out. They don't all have to be totally visible. Sometimes it's quite nice, as here, to just see this. It's a little one underneath, so you just see a couple of petals of that one. I'm going to carry on with this, and then we'll come back and compare notes. Now, when you think you've got everything in the right place, just peg it, as I've done here, and check underneath. And then the thing to do is very carefully, oops, whoops doesn't bode well, does it? Open up your basket so that you can access the lid, and glue down under here, or sellotape, but in a firm way, fix down what you've got here. I'm going to What am I going to do? I am going to do both actually. There's a piece of sellotape waiting. I've got some glue here, and I'm going to squirt my glue. I'll just lift these pegs off for a moment. I'm going to squirt glue under here while I hold it in the same place. I'm going to peg that back. I'm going to carefully take that peg off. I'm going to squirt glue under here. Put that peg back. You put them at an angle, it's easier to get them closed. And I'm going to sellotape across here as well. Everything you can possibly do just to make it more secure so that your flowers don't end up, your flowers which you've taken so much time and effort into, don't fall out. That's it. Right. Now, as ever, I'm going to leave that glue to dry, and when that's dry, I'm going to very carefully, actually I could do that now, I'm going to squirt some glue under from, you can see, from this side, where I'm just lifting the lid. Squirt some glue under there, put the top back on, which I always forget to do, and then peg that back into position. Now leave that to dry. We'll come back and look at it and just see if there's a little bit of tweaking that needs doing, if there's a few more flowers or whatever that need adjusting. If there are, we can literally just pop those in and glue the ends and they should stick because there's enough in there now for it to attach to.